why is it important that the diaspora come home?
Okay, let's use America for example. How can an African American and an Italian American be on the same field when how do I put this in a nice politically correct way?
I was just literally just thinking about this today. That's how the internet is. If you say something against someone that is like white or any other culture, it's like, oh, you're woke. But then you say something bad against black people, then it's like, oh, you're Uncle Tom. It's like you can't win either way. You say something against men, you're a simp. You say something against women, you're a misogynist. It's like, bro, at some point in time, the people gotta allow for fair criticism, man.
Yes. Well, that's why there's so many people right now advocating for freedom of speech, like Jordan Peterson, like Elon Musk with Twitter. Like, that's what it is, because people are not really saying that they agree with everything people say, but they're saying that there needs to be the freedom to say it. One of the fundamental freedoms that modern American people have is to say what we want to say and not fear getting our heads chopped off.
Exactly. And in this clip, all Burna Boy is saying is, hey, and the example he used is, okay, Chinese Americans have a connection to China, so when they get in trouble, they have backup.
Why do you think the Chinese American, has their respect, and they don't go through the things that African Americans go through? You know why? Because the Chinese American has a base. He actually knows where he's from in China.
Right. And they have support from the Chinese government.
You understand?
All he's saying is that African Americans don't have Africa. They don't have that connection to Africa. So when they get in trouble, it's pretty much, you guys are on your own, is what he's trying to say.
The other part of what he said as well was that Chinese Americans, for example, or Italian Americans, for example, who are maybe first, or second, third, fourth generation down the line in America, know where they came from, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
The Italian American, they know where their grandparents came from in Italy before. They know the first person in their family to come to America to start that line. And same goes for everyone else except the African American.
There's something to be said about knowing where you come from. I put quotations because we know the history of how a lot of black people got here. So I'm not going to put it at the feet of black Americans to know where they came from, because it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was like,
they didn't choose, their ancestors didn't choose, most of them didn't choose to come here.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why, because whenever you get into black history, it's always a sensitive topic among black Americans.
Right.
So when you mention, like, okay, you're not from there, or you don't know where you came from, automatically you just hit the trigger switch. Right. Everyone is like, well, that's not our fault, which is not, right? It's not your fault.
It's not. I have my interpretation of what he said. One lane is, I think that as black people, so first of all, I'm first generation Nigerian American. I know exactly where I come from, the exact village, language, all that. But here's what I would say. I would say I'm still interested in learning about African culture in general. And I would say that part of what Burna Boy was saying, or at least what we should take away from it, is that we should all strive to learn a little bit more about where black people came from and not be discouraged because we think that we don't have a history, because black people have a history before 1492 or whenever the Portuguese came to the shore the second or third time to take people. There's a rich history that comes before that. Yeah. Each area of Africa has its own rich history, that there are artifacts and even accounts from Europeans who went there early on, like before 1492, that were like, oh, these people have culture. Oh, these people are healthy. Oh, these people have good civilizations, but we don't hear about that stuff. Yeah. All we hear about is what? Transatlantic slave trade.
Slavery part 1, part 2, part 3, and then, hold on, wait, another slave movie is coming out again.
Bro, that's so
And
true.
then, like, we get different versions. They're like, you know what? By the way, there was a slave over here. Yeah. You know, like, bro, like, come on, man.
Yo, you're so right. Like, I'm so tired of slave movies.
The only time I watch a slave movie if it's like Django.
Yeah, something like that. That's tough.
Yeah, Django's hilarious.
That was tough. But yeah.
And I think another big problem with this whole conversation, I think, is the fact that in America, especially among black people, we're a little bit too divided. You have dark skin versus light skin, even though you guys are probably in the same family. Right. And then you have Africans versus African Americans, which I think this is what pretty much brought upon this thing. People are like, oh, well, it's an African, talking about African Americans, but I'm like, he didn't say anything bad.
Right, he didn't really
at
say
all.
anything.
Like he didn't say, like, even like when he was talking, he had a respectful tone. Yeah. He was just trying to convey his point to the best of his ability. He's not from America, guys. Right. So like he's not all the way in tune to the culture. Just because he's an artist doesn't mean he's all the way in tune to it. Like, I'm not African, so if I were to let's say I go to Africa and I'm talking about Africans, I'm gonna try to do it as respectfully as I can. But if I end up offending someone, like it's not like I'm trying to do it on purpose, I think ultimately, guys, I think people made a bad decision coming down on him so hard because his intention in the video is, like I said before, you can obviously tell he didn't mean any harm. He was being respectful. He was doing his best to convey a point. And to me, it made sense. I'm not offended, you know. I don't think I'd show it to anybody else and they would be offended. No. So, I mean, it's not that serious, guys. But, guys, this has been Bad Decisions. Don't forget to comment, like, let us know who you think made a bad decision, and we're out.